Hello everyone, I'm really happy that we are gonna have the 10th session of our cognitive neuroscience course, from basic fundamentals to, or basic foundations to pragmatic clinical applications. Today we are gonna talk about social cognition, and we are getting to more and more complex cognitive functions gradually over time, and I hope that that would get even more interesting over time in terms of having a better understanding about how different cognitive functions could work together to develop more complex cognitive functions. Today I'm going to talk about 5 major ideas for social cognition, and how social cognition is being processed in the brain, and how social cognition could be affected in different clinical situations. So that would be the major kind of outline of what we are going to cover today. In the first part, let's start with a question. If you see this picture and you just want to read the mind of this guy, what do you refer to what is happening there in his mind? You can use the chat space and tell me what do you feel that he is thinking about, or what he has in his mind. Revenge, attention, assertive, fear, poker look, pessimistic, determined, criminal, suspicious, attentive, okay, curious. That is cool. That is good. You have, people are providing lots of different ideas, and not always they are the same, and even sometimes they are a little bit kind of different. So, we have things like from joyful to criminal thoughts. So, there is a wide range of different things that people are talking about. And if I want to give you, let's say, 4 different options, which one do you select from these 4 different options that I provided you? Okay, insisting. I can see that there are people who believe that he's amused, or even responses in terms of joking, relaxed. Okay, so there is a variation of responses, but most frequent response is insisting. Okay, good. Let's go for the next one. When we talk about reading minds from the eyes, there are important concepts that I think I really like to talk about. First of all, it's quite amazing that how our eyes are being structured in a way that we have a part of the eye, which is the white part, and then we have here what we call iris, and then we have pupil. With this kind of 3 parts structure, that would give us lots of opportunities in terms of to see what is really happening here. If I just remove let's say the white part, and if we had an eye just totally black or totally in one color, it was really hard to transfer some of the information that we are discussing about. So with this specific structure of having white, an iris, and then a black pupil, we have this opportunity to read many things from the eyes. Even when I just go back to the kind of the figure I provided you before, so you can see that the size of different elements, the size of different components of the eye, all those things are critically important in terms of what are you able to read from the eye. So there are specific features in the eyes that you can read. So without that specific structure, quite amazing structure of having a pupil, iris, and then those kind of white sclera part, you cannot transfer this huge amount of information. And it's amazing that you can detect eye gaze from just seeing the eyes of others in the precision of something like 1 degree. Or even there are studies that they show that you can detect changes in eye direction for half a degree. So, and by degree, I mean when we go from one side to the other, it would be 180 degree. And then you can imagine that how precise this system is able to detect even 1 degree of change in the eye direction when you are seeing somebody's eye, and how where is their gaze is looking to. So you can imagine how much information we can transfer from just seeing the eyes. And then if we add the information that we have in other pieces around the eyes, that would make an amazing source of information for you to be able to see what is happening in the brain. This specific task is being designed by one of the professors in University of Cambridge. His name is Simon Baron-Cohen, and this is basically named as eyes task, or reading the mind from the eyes. So that is the task. You can find different stimuli for this task, and I will probably get back to this kind of the interesting things that Dr. Baron-Cohen has done in this line of research. But let me just give you a few other examples of this task. And you can start to think about, okay, how my brain process this information in terms of being able to read somebody's mind from his or her own eyes. Okay, so this is the next question. Would you go inside and see what is the answer in your processing? Friendly. It seems that there is a sort of a higher level of consensus right now that this is a friendly face, or somebody is thinking that it is a dominant face. Interesting, dominant. Few others are thinking that this is a dominant face. Okay, so you can see that how people are thinking about different variations of dominant face. Okay, what about this one? Convinced, flustered, desire. Okay, could you just turn on your videos, those who are online, to see how people think about how this is being processed in their brain, and how they are dealing with being able to read the minds from the eyes. Clemence, would you tell us your experience? Hi, Clemence, go ahead.
Actually, I don't know what is happening in the brain to be able to read in the eyes of someone else. I think it comes from, along your life, by observing different people, you get to know which type of face, type of gaze goes with one or another situation or feelings from these people. But I don't know what is happening in the brain, actually. I have no idea.
Okay, that's a good position in terms of having no idea what is happening there. That's a good position to be there, and that's exactly what we are going to discuss about. Let's go with Kiana. Kiana, what do you see?
Hi, can you hear me?
Perfectly well.
Okay. So I think with this last image, I feel like it can be desire, and also I do not have a really good idea what will happen in the brain exactly, but I think from my own experience when I'm trying to analyze people through their eyes, I think I usually do it through my own lens of experience. So through the experiences that I have gained through life and the different things that I have gone through. And mostly, yes, as our friend mentioned, when our interactions kind of with different people in daily life, so we can also again gain experience in different situations and different positions. All of those can come and help us, and also paying attention sometimes really is important. Like sometimes we just do not care, and we don't want to kind of analyze like anyone. But if we start paying attention, that can really also help us. But yeah, that's what I think.
Okay, good. Morofat, are you with us right now?
Yeah, actually, when I saw this last picture, I was like, if I'm seeing anybody for the first time, most of the time, the kind of expression I pick is something I can pick the expression, but I might not be able to understand why I'm saying that is the kind of expression that kind of person is having. I think it's an unconscious process within the brain. So for this last picture, what I can see is desire from my own perspective. But I can't really explain why I actually came to that conclusion.
That's interesting. That's an interesting observation. So people are trying to see how their brain is basically processing this information, and what are the modules, or what are the kind of categories of different processes that are happening together to get us to a point to be able to understand what is happening. And as others have mentioned, that probably our previous personal experiences, so we can rely to some extent to our past memories, how this is going to be related to those past memories, or what are the other factors that would contribute in terms of being able to understand somebody's mind from his or her own eyes. So these are the questions I think that we are going to try to understand. Okay, if we are able to read the minds from the eyes, what is the neural processing what are the neural processings that are contributing to this process? So that is the initial question that we have for this class. I'm going to add a few other components to this question in the next step. So if we do an eyes task inside the scanner, and it seems that there are at least 10 studies that they try to do that. So this is the number of the studies that people have tried. And in what we call a meta-analysis, people put together these 10 studies, and this is the sort of conclusion from these 10 studies, that we have activations in these areas, I mean, on the right and left, and then this area. So these are the major activations that we can have, one in the midline, the other on the outside of the cortex. And these are the main areas that would get activated when we try to read minds from the eyes. So that is the activations that we are expecting. But why we have these activations? Why we have activations in these areas? And what are these areas that are contributing to the process of reading the minds from the eyes? So I'm gonna explain and discuss and give you an idea about what are the things that are happening in the brain in this sort of complex cognitive function that we are going to discuss about today. Let me give you another task that is quite similar to what we have seen before, but it's another level of what we call social cognition. If you want to select between these two faces, number 1 and number 2, and tell me which one is more agreeable in terms of the personality. So you are doing a trait judgment task. So you are judging these faces, and you are attributing a specific personality to these faces. And if you want to just define whether the first one is more agreeable or the second one, would you please, provide your answers to the, 1, 2, There are few 2s, but many people are responding something like 1. It's interesting. Okay, good. Let me just give you the second one as well, okay? If you want to just vote for openness as a personality trait, which one do you consider as more open? It seems that people are more consistent for this one in terms of considering one as a more open personality. We still have 2 as well. Good. At least based on the studies, this is the variation in terms of being open or agreeable in terms of the personality in the trait judgment task. And there are different variations of this trait judgment task. Even you can find studies that people try to go for all big 5 personality traits: agreeableness, conscientiousness, extroversion, openness, and neuroticism. And they try to show that there could be a high and low for all these, let's say, personality traits in the female and in the male kind of participants. And they show that people can differentiate them in terms of, okay, it seems that this kind of face has a higher level of neuroticism, and among these two, this one would have higher level of neuroticism when they want to just make something like a trait judgment. So people try to judge the trait of people based on their face. Seems a little bit judgmental, and I'm not sure that it is probably the most ethical way of judging people and interacting with people, but that is the way that our brain processes. So we do processes in terms of judging people based on their faces and trying to understand what is happening in their mind, and also trying to give them not only an understanding about what is their state in terms of what they are thinking right now, but also even attributing traits to their face. And that is even more complex in terms of, okay, it is not just thinking about what they are thinking about right now, but it's also about what type of person they are, and giving them a more stable sort of judgment or assessment in terms of their personality based on what is happening or what are the characteristics of their face. This is the study that has been done in Turkey. It has been done in Istanbul, in I think in Izmir. And I'm not sure if we have anybody from Izmir here today online. I hope that everybody is safe and sound in Izmir. We are just following what is happening in Izmir in terms of both kind of Turkey and in Greece in terms of the recent earthquake. And I hope that everyone would be safe. I've visited Izmir before, something like 10 years ago. It's a super nice, beautiful city. I hope that everybody is safe there, and our thoughts and prayers are with those who have lost family members in Izmir. So this is a study that has been done in Izmir, and you can find more details about that and how people have been successful in doing that. Okay, if we do the trait judgment task, and we see the activations for trait judgment, that would be the activation that you have. Okay, so people put together 15 different studies with different sort of trait judgment, and these are the activations that you can see in the trait judgment task. And if we want to just compare these two sets of studies, reading the minds, so inferring states to the eyes, and then referring traits to the faces. Obviously, you can see that there are similarities and variations in terms of the response. One of the things that you can see here we have posterior cingulate cortex involved. Here there is no PCC activations. Here you have mid cingulate cortex involved. Obviously, there are some, let's say, shared activations here. Not very much this line here in trait judgment, but we had that in mind, in the eyes. So the question is that why do we have these sets of variations? Why there are some similarities and why there are some variations in terms of activation? Because technically you feel that they are both talking about social cognition and same processes, but obviously there are variations in terms of how these processes are happening in the brain. And the question is why? Why do we have this variation? And we'll try to discuss about that and see how much we know about different aspects of what we call, at the end of the day, social cognition. And having an understanding, what do we mean by social cognition, and what are the components in the process of interacting with others, other than just judging their trait or referring specific states to their mind based on the things that we are reading from their eyes. What are the other components of what we call social cognition and this really complex cognitive process? We will try to tease apart these components of social cognition, trying to understand them one by one as much as we can in something like a limited amount of time that we have today. So that is basically the end of the first part of the class today.